Yeah.
Alrighty, well, let's move on to real cars. Shall we?
Yeah, so you're not going to talk about
Sure.
that story.
That's funny. That's a good
Oh,
one.
I got a million of them, folks. I'm here through Thursday.
Thank God it's Wednesday.
Those of you who have listened... Oh, that was good.
Zing.
Just stepping in for Tony.
Those of you who have listened to the show before know how Russell and I feel about prototype cars. Concept cars, as they're often called. Know that we pretty much hate them. But that won't keep us from talking about them tonight, because there was an interesting article over on hybridcars.com that went through the 5 green cars at the Geneva Auto Show that we may have missed. And to be honest with you, I didn't may have missed these. I totally missed these.
Yeah, I don't care. I guess I'm bad.
I avoided these. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Although there are some interesting aspects to them. We were talking just last week about Mitsubishi and the iMeave. And Chelsea was saying that they're going to move towards an all electric line, potentially, which could be very interesting. And this the first car, it's just called the Mitsubishi Small Global Concept.
Yeah,
It is.
ginormous crossover.
Yeah, it's not small. It's
No, look at how big it is compared to those guys standing 20 feet behind it.
Well, that might be an issue of forced perspective, but this is definitely not a small car by any means.
It might.
I
first
kind of
come
like
out-
it.
It's kind of cool. It might first come out as a hybrid, complete with stop-start technology and regenerative brakes, and then eventually move into an electric form, which would be very interesting. But like I said last week, there's several $1,000 difference would have to be there before I would put a Mitsubishi in my driveway versus a Toyota, Nissan, even a Hyundai. Even
Ford.
a Honda.
Wow, now that's some strong language, Mr. Cooper.
I already have one Honda in my driveway, actually. So
I was going to say, watch the Honda remarks.
yeah.
Okay, here's my take on this. Since you asked. Oh, wait, you didn't. But I'm going to offer it anyway.
Russell, what's your take on this?
Only car that I give a fat rat's butt about in this thing is the Tata Pixel. And there's probably reasons that it's not available in the U.S., and I'm sure it probably doesn't survive any kind of crash testing here. But it's been on sale in India, where it's produced. It's a tiny EV, which, again, if you've listened to the show, you've heard me kind of rant about these little mini EV things, but it's $2,200. Now,
No, the Nano is.
That's less than your scooter.
$2,200 for a little tiny EV? That's pretty damn cool.
No. Hold on now. The Nano is $2,200.
Excuse me. The Nano, correct.
There's no dollar figure yet on the Pixel.
Right. But Tata's whole thing, and only reason I know, because I've kind of followed them for the last few years since I met some of their people at Tour de Sol in New York in like 2006. Their whole thing is making very inexpensive, very inexpensive small EVs and bringing them out to the mass market. They're not interested in making a lot of freaky concept cars and a lot of performance stuff. They want to be able to make and sell a ton of tiny cars. So I'd like to see, I would be very interested to see something like this. Again, I don't know if it's a crash issue or if it's something else, but again, at that price, I got to think a lot of people would really look and go, why wouldn't I have one of these in my driveway?
It's got some of the styling of the Prius C. Except the Prius C is probably like 4 times the size of it.
Yeah, it's a little bigger. Okay, that's
Those are 1 foot squares. We're talking about the Tata, the Pixel, right?
right.
If those are 1 foot squares in the tile beneath it, then that car is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 feet long.
I'm willing to bet those are, but yeah, it's probably tiny. I mean,
It's cute.
and I contrast that with the mini Rocket Man below it, which just irritates me because it's totally cool. But come on, we've been down this whole like carbon fiber construction road. There's no way to scale that for any kind of reasonable production vehicle.
So why didn't they use aluminum? Why did they use carbon fiber instead of aluminum? Because if you had an aluminum car with a 3-cylinder engine, you'd have it, and 2 doors, you'd have an Insight. Oh, wait. You already do.
Some of us do. The lucky ones do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mini's way cooler than a Insight. Come on.
Oh,
I
blasphemous.
beg to differ, Mr. Cooper. Have you spent much time around or in a first-generation Honda Insight? That is the geekiest, coolest thing ever to be created.
I thought you were going to say have you spent much time in or around a mini Rocket Man.
Well, have you done that either? Because that sounds pretty cool, too.
I don't think anyone has. No, Russell, I agree with you about the whole Tata thing. First of all, I like Tatas. So I'd just like to get that out there.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd take a stand on that issue. Very
Yes.
no.
Cooper.
Unfortunately, they didn't show any of the car models with the picture of the Tata, but where I don't even know where I was going.
Is it really?
Top 3 off, right?
Doesn't really matter, I don't think. And I mean, yeah, you look at this thing, and I don't see how it could sustain any sort of American crash test. But I guess if you're driving the speeds of our own Jason Holder, it's very unlikely you'll get into a high-speed crash of any sort.
Maybe they're thinking that it will survive a crash of the same vehicle. Like
Yeah.
if 2 of them hit.
Well, or in India, you'll hit a llama or a camel or something.
I'm about to climb up on a soapbox here. Okay, we can't like.
Is it a scooter?
I'm sorry,
Keep going.
I didn't hear you.
I didn't say anything.
You did too.
You're going to climb on a soapbox.
This whole argument that cars are too small is like, I get part of that, and I've made that argument about city EVs and all of that. But the other side of it is, if we're going to really evolve and maybe figure out a better way to get ourselves around, we really need to get over this whole, like, good God, I've got to have 4,000 pounds of Detroit steel around me, and I've got to be sitting 5 feet in the air. It's just not, it's not practical.
Amen, brother.
And
I feel strongly about that, too. Yeah.
At some point, our vehicle fleet is going to be smaller. Let me just make that bold prediction, which is like saying the sun's going to rise tomorrow. At some point, our vehicle fleet in general is going to downsize significantly, because guess what? All the people that don't have to drive big cars are going to get really tired of putting $5 a gallon gas in their car. They're already complaining about it now at $3.50.
Yep.
So
they're just getting warmed up with that too. I got to talk to a guy today that's he's already sweating bullets over the because he knows he sees the writing on the wall, and he right now he's driving one of those ginormous crew cab Dodge dually diesel things, and he's already complaining, and I really didn't say it because I didn't want to just seem like a jerk, but it's like, oh buddy, wait, you just wait, it's going to get so much worse for all of us, but especially for some.
Yeah, I just, so that argument at some point stops being like reasonable and starts being just an excuse to try and hold on to what we have now, which, hey, I guess that's fine. If we want to try and pretend that oil's always going to be a cheap, plentiful resource, then hey, go for it. I'm not in charge, but
Well, hell, let's just move on to the next story. Because it goes hand in hand with the whole gas price conversation.